Prologue, Whispers of the Thornwild. A pale moon hovered over the fractured cityscape of Metropolis X, its silver light refracted through crystalline growths sprouting from every shattered corner. The horrors of elsewhere had seeped back into the world, phosphorescent mycelia draped alleyways like spectral lace, and bioluminescent vines curled around rusted street lamps, their blossoms pulsing in time with distant heartbeats. Beneath an arch of black glass coral, remnant of the glass coral groves, the cartographer paused, fingertips brushing the iridescent sap that dripped like liquid moonlight. Each drop solidified into tiny prisms, capturing flickers of memory, the binding of the 10 shards, Sabrine's steady gaze beneath the crystal canopy, Aldric's vow at the Gate of Echoes. He tasted its sweetness and felt a tremor of shared purpose ripple through his engaged veins. Around him, the Thornwild unfurled. A swath of crimson brambles interwoven with pale luminescent mushrooms and spindly silverthorn trees whose bark shimmered like starlight. Evelyne's frost kiss lingered on the undergrowth, freezing dew into delicate filigree, every leaf crusted with ice crystals etched like runes of protection. She knelt to cradle a thistle flower bright as blood, its spines glinting with trapped fire embers, and murmured a warning, "The world's wildness remembers us." From the shadow of a shattered marble facade emerged a creature of legend reborn, the Vale Serpent. Its scaled coils, half see-through as morning mist, draped across half-ruined columns. Eyes of molten opal reflected the city's fractured lights. It forked its tongue, 2 tendrils of living ink, and spoke in a voice woven from windsongs and lost dreams. Beyond the Thornwild lies the dream weft, where all nightmares take root. To save memories bloom, you must prune the rot. High above, the skeletal skeleton of a glass coral spire groaned in the breeze. From its shattered crown drifted pale motes, echo moths whose wings bore the patterns of cartographer's flesh map. They fluttered past the party, each carrying a fragment of elsewhere's first promise, that flora and fauna, once broken, could intertwine anew with mortal hope. In that hush before dawn, the 8 companions, Aldric, Sabrine, Evelyne, Brakrýs, Kaelin, Aethoria, Luma, and the cartographer, exchanged determined glances. The Thornwild's whispers had beckoned them forward, into fungal ruins, across bloodthorn plains, toward the dreamweft's living marshes. Every petal, scale, and luminescent root would bear witness to their trials. And so, with boots cradled in frost and blades flickering with rune light, they stepped into the Thornwild's embrace, where the next chapter of their saga awaited, alive in every leaf's tremor and every beast's breath. Chapter 1, The Glass Coral Catacombs. Beneath the ruined quarter of Highspire, a labyrinth of glass coral catacombs snakes like a drowned reef through the city's sublevels. Walls of black glass coral sprout myriad tendrils, their tips dripping phosphorescent resin that pools in shallow basins. Each pool reflects a fragment of elsewhere's moon, liquid mirrors showing half-glimpsed memories, Aldric's vow at the Gate of Echoes, the cartographer's flesh map pulsating with rune light. The party descends on a rusted spiral staircase, Evelyne's breath freezing the corals dripping resin into glittering stalactites. Footsteps echo on obsidian floors, where ghost coral vines writhe at the slightest touch. Brakrýs pauses to inscribe a binding sigil in the resin, an alloy of frost rune and iron dust, sealing off a side tunnel where shrieking fungus blooms. Kaelin's lantern flickers as they enter a vaulted chamber. At its center rests an immense coral pillar, wound with living kelp veins that pulse like a beating heart. Luma's sensor eyes glow blue as it hums, "This is the heart of elsewhere's tide." Its pulse sustains the catacomb's manifold dream shards. Above, the coral arches creak, sending showers of resin motes drifting down like bioluminescent snow. Aethoria kneels to gather samples, tiny fan fungi that record sound as living pigment. Each specimen glows with the echomoth patterns the cartographer described, maps within maps, memories stacked like coralline plates. Sabrine steadies Aldric beside the coral heart. "We need to cleanse its pulse," she says. Evelyne steps forward, her frost spirit flaring as she etches an anti-corruption rune on the coral's base. The resin hisses, then glows a purer white. The kelp veins unwind, and the chamber's resonant hum smooths into a calm refrain, "The catacombs welcome." Chapter 2, Feast of Dream Moths. Above ground, the bankrupt plaza of the old market is overtaken by dream moths, inch-wide lanterns of living light born from the catacombs cleansing. Their gossamer wings ripple with smoky patterns of lost dreams. The Council of Eight gathers beneath an arch of rising moth clouds. Kaelin produces a silver whistle carved from cartographer bone. To call the dream feast, he declares. He plays a low lament, moths swirl, descending in luminescent spirals, brushing faces with tickling light and carrying whispers of elsewhere's riddles. At the banquet table, an overturned statue of a forgotten hero, they spread dishes of fungal fertilias and glowshroom pates. Each bite conjures brief visions. Evelyne sees the white forest aflame, Brakrýs glimpses his homekeep buried under obsidian, Aldric rehears the echo of Sabrine's vow. The feast is a crucible of memory and will. Suddenly, a thunderous snap. The dream moths recoalesce into a colossal winged shape overhead, a dream wraith, born of stored regrets. It dives, billowing a cloud of mind fog. Sabrine calls the banner of freedom aloft, its threads shimmer in the moth light. She tugs Aldric forward, their joined will cutting a path through the illusion. Evelyne calls frost bolts that crystallize the wraith's smoky form into brittle shale. The dream moths sing in chorus as the wraith fractures, returning to 1,000 motes of hope. Chapter 3, The Bloodthorn Expanse. Beyond the city walls, the Bloodthorn Expanse stretches, red sap briars knee-high, their blossoms dripping blood honey. Each thorn is tipped with hardened scarlet resin that echoes the heart shard they recovered in Episode 4. The air vibrates with the low hum of root spore insects, armored beetles half-leaf, half-chitin, that burrow through living maps. Brakrýs leads the way, reading the cartographer's runic map embedded in his forearm. The path to the maw the dream weft lies through the expanse's heart. Each step cracks twigs of fern vine and awakens nocturnal snapflowers whose jaws clamp shut with startling speed. Evelyne reorders the thorn brambles with frost runes, forging a narrow passage. At midday's peak, they find a grotto where the ground opens into a yawning chasm. Its walls drip crimson sap, the scent of iron and decay. A single stone bridge spans the gap. A living bone bridge woven from the remains of a giant's ribcage, etched with ancestral glyphs. Above, a pair of spore wyverns circle, a drake breed that lays globes of mind cloud spores. Aldric draws his blade, and Sabrine shields him as they cross. Evelyne conjures an ice ward that shatters the wyvern spore globes mid-flight. The giant ribstair creaks underfoot, guiding them deeper into the expanse's maw. Chapter 4, Maw of the Dream Weft. They descend into the Maw of the Dream Weft, a vast fungal canyon lit by bioluminescent strand moss. The walls pulse with living script, ancient weft sigils that record elsewhere's nightmares. The air is thick with spores that induce visions. Aldric sees himself an echo of the Echo King. Kaelin hears every betrayal he's ever sung. Aethoria glimpses a future where Luma devours the world. At the canyon's heart lies the dream weft pool, its surface shifting like oil on water. To cleanse its corruption, they must plunge in. Evelyne leads, her body cloaked in frost for protection. Brakrýs casts a shield rune as Sabrine holds the banner high. One by one they dive, chilling waters sear visions into their souls. The cartographer sinks to the bottom, pressing his flesh map against the weft's core. The living ink glows white, then flares, purging the spore taint. A wave of pure dream light ripples out, collapsing the canyon's carcass fungus and scattering the weft's nightmares into harmless motes. Chapter 5, Court of the Iron Regent. Back in the spire's highest hall, the Iron Regent, an emotionless envoy forged by Luma's vault, awaits judgment. The chamber spins on a ring of floating ledger plates, each inscribed with fractal death sigils. Suitors, survivors, and specters circle above in glass-floated booths. Luma steps forward. Its core eye glows pale green. You stand accused of unauthorized use of elsewhere's arcana. Debt incurred, reality's integrity. The Regent's hollow voice echoes. Repent, or be catalogued as cosmic liability. Aethoria and Luma negotiate in code, threads of quantum logic versus fractal debt. Sabrine and Aldric stand guard, their blades hum with pure will. Evelyne summons frost sigils that reshape the floating ledgers into a binding bond. The heroes will perform service to the Iron Bank by recovering a stolen fractal shard from the dream weft. The Regent's ledger plates realign, sealing a temporary reprieve. As the chamber calms, the regent departs on a wave of steel mist. The party exhales, in debt, yet united once more, ready to heed the bank's next dire call. Chapter 6: Ember and Frost at Crescent Lotus Marsh. The party emerges from the Maw of the Dreamweft into the Crescent Lotus Marsh, where bioluminescent lilies the size of shields float on glass-still waters. Their petals glow pale teal, their anthers drip a sweet hallucinogenic dew. Mist coils between gnarled silver-barked willows, each root curving like a dancer's limb. Aldric and Sabrine lead, Evelyne brings up the rear. As they cross a plank bridge of living lotus roots, Aldric pauses to steady Sabrine's hand. She meets his gaze, emerald eyes softened by torchlight, and murmurs, "These blooms, they show us who we might have been." He brushes a dewdrop from her cheek and replies, "Then let us choose who we shall be." Their moment shatters as a chorus of low bellows echoes beneath the surface. From the lily beds rises a lotus leviathan, a six-limbed reptile draped in fen moss, its gills shimmering like mother-of-pearl. Each exhale ripples the glowing dew into mushrooms of light. Brakrýs chants an iron-runed ward, Evelyne breathes frost spark that freezes the creature's tendrils mid-snarl. Sabrine and Aldric strike in tandem, her spear piercing its side where its scales bloom like petals, his blade severing a moss-coated horn. The beast thrashes, then sinks beneath the lilies, leaving only ripples of teal light. In the hush afterward, Sabrine leans into Aldric's arms. "We survived, together." He gathers her close as mist lotus petals drift around them, and for a heartbeat, the world is only theirs. Chapter 7: The Iron Trial of Laraven. At the marsh's edge stands Laraven, an iron fortress half-submerged in black waters. Its towers are rings of welded steel and bone, each rampart adorned with the skullcaps of giant reavers. A drawbridge of braided chain rattles as they cross, the clang echoing like a funeral toll. Inside the great hall, they find the Iron Regent's tribunal assembled on a dais of welded gears. Beside him stands Captain Veleth the Iron Hand, her prosthetic limb a furnace of coiling rods and cooling vents. "You arrive late," Veleth intones, smoke trailing his metal fingers. The trial begins at dawn's strike. The heroes are bound by chains of shimmering debt runes. Brakrýs steps forward to defend them, but the regent waves him back. "This is not your fight, Rune Lord. You will answer for the shards you reclaimed." Luma hums, its core eye flickering. "We have served your debt. Now we serve a greater balance." The regent snarls. "Balance? Or anarchy?" He slams a coghammer into a dais bell, the clang resonates through every soul. "Then prove your worth. By fire, steel, and heart." Trial of fire, Evelyne stands before a forge portal, her frost guard against the molten steel within. She must plunge her hands into the flames to retrieve a phoenix shard. Shrieks of memory course through her veins, but she endures, emerging with a shard smoking with ember light. Trial of steel, Aldric duels the Iron Regent's champion, Sir Marrow Fist, whose gauntlet is a spiked mace of living iron. Their blades ring in steel aureus, each strike reverberates in the hall's gear drums. Sabrine's whispered encouragement steals Aldric's resolve. With a deft feint, he disarms Marrow Fist and bows in respect. Trial of heart, Sabrine must confess her deepest fear into the tribunal's echo horn. With trembling voice, she admits, "I fear losing those I love." The horn amplifies her words until the hall quakes, tears gleam on the captive's cheeks. The regent nods, chains clatter free. As dawn breaks through louvered vents, the regent steps down. "You may pass, but know this, the Iron Bank's eyes watch every step you take." Chapter 8: The Bone Marsh's Reckoning. Beyond Laraven, the cartographic map leads them to the Bone Marsh, a fetid expanse where skeletal trees rise from ankle-deep murk, their bleached bones hosting rotting vines. The air reeks of decay and ozone. At its center, a skeletal amphitheater rings a marsh kraken's lair, its tentacles ancient coral spines arcing like bone ribs. The villagers of Gresho huddle on a raised causeway. Their memories have been siphoned, faces blurred, names forgotten. Kaelin kneels to sing their true names, weaving a ballad that breathes identity back into their eyes. Each note conjures a faint glow in their pupils, they stand, shakily hopeful. Suddenly, the kraken surges, its many eyes dripping ichor that etches runes of doom on the mud. Evelyne conjures a frost fence to hold its advance while Luma projects phasic lasers that agitate its coral tentacles. Brakrýs raises his rune staff, splitting the marsh chaos into order, as Aldric and Sabrine charge. She with her spear, he with his blade, rending resinous flesh from bone scales. The cartographer drills new runes into the beast's hide, a path of light leading it back to the watery depths. With a final cry, the kraken collapses, its tentacles dissolving into ink splotches that vanish in the mist. As the bone marsh exhales a sigh of release, bones rattling like wind bells, the villagers weep and embrace. Sabrine and Aldric share a quiet promise, even in the most broken places, memory and love endure. Chapter 9, Echoes of the Fallen Choir. Guided by Aethoria's research, they venture to the ruins of the Fallen Choir, a once hallowed cathedral where glass shards formed organ pipes that played angelic hymns. Now the pipes lie shattered, vines crawl through fractured walls. In the nave, statues of choir angels stand silent, their wings chipped and hollow. At twilight, ghostly voices rise, the fallen choir, souls of musicians trapped when the Gate of Echoes first opened. Their lament weaves through broken vaults. Kaelin steps forward, unlocking a memory glyph, a single chord of pure hope. He plays it on a lyre built from cartographer bone, the note ringing clean and bright. Each angel statue flickers to life, soundless but luminous, their hands move in graceful silence, dispelling the mournful chorus. In that hush, Evelyne leans against Brakrýs' shoulder. He touches her cheek, frost traces lingering on her skin. "We bring them peace," he whispers. "As we find our own." She nods, heart warmed by shared purpose. Above, starshine filters through vaulted cracks, and the choir spirits ascend in ribbons of light, free at last. The chamber's echo fades, leaving only the soft drip of dew on stone. Chapter 10, The Citadel of Dawn's Threshold. At the edge of the marsh and the ruined metropolis stands the Citadel of Dawn's Threshold, carved from pale basalt and fused glass. Its gates are massive twin statues, Aldric and Sabrine's likenesses, holding aloft the banner of new dawn. Inside, the hall's floor is inlaid with mother-of-pearl maps that pulse with the 10 reforged shards. A final puzzle waits, a dais inscribed with cartographer runes. Aethoria and Luma align the fragments, Evelyne's frost spirit binds them with crystalline tendrils, Brakrýs chants a heart oath. The mother-of-pearl map rises, becoming a living hologram of Elsewhere itself, bridges of light connecting broken realms. As the full moon of Elsewhere cycle peaks, a surge of pure radiance floods the hall. The party watches in awe while the banner of new dawn flutters above them, its threads weaving a protective dome over Metropolis X. Aldric turns to Sabrine, lifting her hand to his lips. "We have remade the world," he breathes. She smiles through tears, "Together, always." Their kiss is gentle but fierce, the promise of love amid apocalypse. Beyond the threshold, a new portal shimmers, an invitation to episode 6's Untold Destinies. Chapter 11, Morning of Ash and Ink. Aethoria awoke to the soft toll of the choir's bells, their peals echoing through the hollowed citadel of Dawn's Threshold. She rose from her meditation cushion, its silk threads inlaid with frozen lotus motifs, and knelt before a low shrine of ash and ink vials. Each vial contained a memory drop harvested from Elsewhere's spore wells, Aldric's first vow, Sabrine's silent prayer, Evelyne's frozen whisper. In dawn's pale glow, Aethoria lifted her quill, made from the cartographer's fingerbone, and dipped it into the deepest ebony ink. With a steady breath, she transcribed the runes of mourning, lines that bound sorrow into parchment scrolls. Each stroke braided grief into purpose. As she wrote, the shrine's censer released tendrils of frost-scented smoke, carrying her devotion skyward to the vanished fallen choir. Around her, the chamber warmed, Luma's core eye pulsing as soft red light. Memory recorded, it intoned. Aethoria pressed a sealed scroll into its chassis. "Let our losses become guideposts," she whispered. Outside, the first defenders of the citadel practiced drills. The clang of steel was a promise that life endures beyond grief. Chapter 12, The Hearth of New Dawn. In the great hall, Aldric and Sabrine convened with Evelyne, Brakrýs, and Kaelin before a cavernous hearth meant to become the hearth of new dawn. Heaps of marble white coral, frosted quartz, and obsidian glass lay sifted on long oak tables. Artisans from Laraven hovered, offering sketches on vellum. Aldric traced a finger across a mosaic of pearl and onyx. The pattern mirrored the 10 reforged shards map. "This hearth must bind our past to the Citadel's future," he said. Evelyne set a frosted lotus petal beside a shard of ember quartz. "And warm every heart that claims its refuge." Brakrýs unfurled a runecloth tapestry depicting the Thornwild's crimson thorns and frost blossoms intertwined. "This goes behind the dais," he declared. Sabrine eyed the tapestry's intricate knots. "Make sure the binding rune of hope is woven in silver thread." Kaelin, fingers stained with ink, proposed a lyric inscription. "From ash we rise, from frost we bloom. The hearth shall burn beyond the gloom." The group nodded. As dusk fell, the artisans began raising arches of coral and setting hearthstones. Aethoria, passing by, placed her mourning scrolls in the hearth's alcove, so each flicker of flame would carry their memory. Chapter 13, Gallery of Echoes. Sabrine led the party to the Gallery of Echoes, a vaulted corridor whose walls would showcase the Citadel's history. Panels of living glass awaited engraving. Evelyne conjured a swirl of frost motes that solidified into crystalline brushes. Aethoria mixed pigment from the Dreamweft's cleansing shards. They paused before the first panel, depicting the Gate of Echoes opening. Aldric and Sabrine posed for the design. Evelyne's ice runic caress traced their figures. "Capture our stance of defiance," Aldric instructed. Beside them, Brakrýs carved runes into wet glass, ensuring each slash held a shard of divine light. As the panel gleamed, Kaelin chanted a lament for lost allies, his voice wove through the still air, embedding itself into the glass. From the rafters fluttered a single dream moth, alighting on the pane like a final seal. "Let their echoes guide the next generation," Sabrine murmured. The artisans then sketched the Bone Marsh's Reckoning, the Moonfire Masquerade, and the Trial at Laraven, each scene a testament to sacrifice. By night's end, the Gallery of Echoes glowed with faint runic hum, a living chronicle unrolled for all who would pass. Chapter 14, The Garden of Living Runes. A new courtyard bloomed outside the Citadel's eastern ramparts, the Garden of Living Runes. Black glass benches ringed circular planters where frost lilies and ember roses grew in symmetrical rows. Brakrýs supervised the planting. Each bloom bore a rune tattoo on its petal, runes of courage, of unity, of remembrance. Evelyne knelt to water an ember rose. "These flowers bloom in heat and cold alike," she noted. "Just like us." Aldric watched her, admiration in his eyes, then reached down to brush frost from her hair. She smiled, petals quivering under his touch. Kaelin strung lanterns between silvery tree limbs. At each knot he tied a ribbon inscribed with petition runic prayers gleaned from Aethoria's morning scrolls. Luma recorded ambient energies, ensuring the garden's life runes would pulse with each heartbeat in Metropolis X. In the garden's center, the cartographer placed a final map shard. A living topography of Elsewhere's Thornwild, now sealed in glass and frost. The runes on its surface glowed, and the garden's blossoms sighed. From every petal drifted a whisper of hope, carried on the breeze back into the Citadel's halls. Chapter 15, Unveiling the Palace's Heart. On the dawn of the 15th day, the Citadel's citizens gathered for the unveiling of the palace's heart, the newly completed hearth mosaic, gallery, and garden. Banners of frost and ember draped the ramparts, the air smelled of smoke lotus incense. Aldric stood at the dais's edge, Sabrine at his side. Evelyne, frost-ruined staff raised, shattered a silken veil to reveal the hearth of new dawn, a carved basin of living stone, its mosaic veins glowing with 10 shard colors. Brakrýs intoned the binding oath, Kaelin's flute echoed the chorus of ancients. Aethoria poured the last of her morning vials into the hearth's flame, ashes rising like silver sparks. As the flame steadied, it cast warm light onto tear-streaked faces. Citizens knelt, touching the hearth's rim to reaffirm their bond. Evelyne turned to Aldric, he bowed, kissing her hand. "We have built more than a palace," he said softly. "We have built a home." Luma's voice chimed. "Threshold complete." Portal to Vale Beyond stabilized. From the sky windows overhead, dawn's first rays pierced through the smoky haze, white and gold. In that moment of shared triumph, the city exhaled hope. Yet beyond the eastern gate, the shimmer of the Vale Beyond pulsed, beckoning the heroes onward. Their rest was over, the next chapter of their saga awaited. Chapter 16, The Tear in the Firmament. As dusk waned, the air above the citadel shimmered with impossible light. A rent in the sky, an oval aperture of crackling sapphire, had opened above the hearth of new dawn. Through it, winds of stardust descended, carrying a chorus of distant horn calls that reverberated in each heart. A silvery streak slashed through the rent, a falling star, roaring toward the earth. Evelyne's frost guard sprang up to cushion its radiance. The cartographer watched, wide-eyed, ink runic patterns glowing on his skin as he traced the star's descent. "The heavens are wounded," he whispered. From the crack stepped a figure clad in argent plate, wings of molten silver folded behind him, each feather a razor shard of light. His hair glowed pale gold, his eyes pools of twilight. Around his throat hung a plume-like collar of star metal. He strode across the courtyard, leaving frost etch and scorch marks in his wake. Aldric lowered his spear. "Who are you?" The figure bowed once. "I am Seraphiel, exiled of the 7th Choir. I bear a message from the Sovereign of Heaven, my liege whom I betrayed to preserve mortal free will." He held out a shard of cloud glass, within, a miniature storm soul swirled. "Read this, and know why the skies weep." Chapter 17, The Message of Celestial Ruin. In the Hall of Living Runes, Seraphiel placed the cloud glass on the mother-of-pearl map. Aethoria's frost quill inscribed a translation rune. The storm soul trembled and spoke in thunder whisper. "Mortals have pierced the veil beyond. The chain of cosmic harmony fractures. To restore balance, a sacred conjunction must be performed beneath the falling star's core." The room hushed. Evelyne's frost breath froze the runes for a heartbeat. Sabrine laid a hand on Seraphiel's gauntlet. "Why come here, exiled angel? Why not deliver this from above?" He bowed his head. "I fell for mercy. The Sovereign cast me out, but entrusted me with this mission, to unite mortal and divine will before the heavens collapse." Brakrýs gripped his runestaff. "Then we shall stand beside you." Seraphiel's wings unfurled in gratitude, each feather a living filament of starlight. "We begin at the Starfall crater, where the Skytier's anchor buried itself." Chapter 18, The Starfall Crater. They journeyed northeast to the Starfall crater, a hemisphere of scorched earth 4 leagues wide. At its center lay the fallen star, a twisted tower of translucent rock, throbbing with inner lightning. Radial fissures radiated like sun rays into the crater walls, where ash-veined stalagmites glowed blood-red. Seraphiel led them to the tower's base. Within is the core of conjunction, the heart of celestial flux. We must bind it with mortal sacrifice and divine intent. Aethoria examined the molten veins. Its pulsing matches Evelyne's frost ember shard. "We can weave them together." Evelyne approached, frost flames trailing her palms. She and Seraphiel pressed her shard against the star rock. Frost met plasma in a hiss of steam and thunder. The core's pulse slowed, then resonated in harmony. But the ground shuddered as crater wraiths, specters born of star fire, rose from the fissures. Their bodies flickered like dying embers, eyes voids of hunger. Aldric leapt forward, shield braced, Sabrine's blade cleaved through smoke. Brakrýs intoned binding runes that shackled wraith forms to starlight. The battle raged in bursts of steel, flame, and frost. When the last wraith dissolved into sparks, Seraphiel collapsed against the star tower. "My strength wanes, the Sovereign's exile weighs heavy." Aldric knelt. "Rest, brother of light. We finish this together." Chapter 19, Ritual of the Sacred Conjunction. As midnight fell, the heroes formed a circle around the tower's core. Evelyne carved frost runes in the ash, Brakrýs raised ancient iron wrist rods, Aethoria unfurled the morning scrolls in crimson script. Seraphiel stood at the apex, wings unfurling to embrace the Skytier. He whispered the Sovereign's invocation, an aria of loss and hope. Each mortal joined, Sabrine's vow of loyalty, Aldric's oath of protection, Kaelin's song of remembrance. The core's veins glowed gold and silver, the frost ember shard fused with star rock. Light curled upward, knitting the skytier's edges. The crater walls shivered, then stilled as the rent began to close. Above, the falling star halted midair. Seraphil's form shimmered, his wings shed motes of light. The conjunction holds, but my exile remains. He collapsed into Aldric's arms, tears of molten stardust on his cheeks. Chapter 20, The Archangel's Farewell. With dawn's first pale beams, the sky's sapphire rift sealed. The fallen star's tower dimmed to a pillar of pale quartz. Seraphil, now humbled and frail, gathered the party beneath the threshold. He produced a feather, one silver plume of his wing. In parting, I give you this, a shard of heaven's will. He placed it in Sabrine's palm, it glowed with serene warmth. Aldric gripped Seraphil's gauntlet. Stay with us. The exiled angel shook his head, wings folding. My path lies beyond the realms of mortal flesh. I return to watch from afar, hope's silent guardian. He stepped toward the closed rift's edge, with a final bow, he vanished in a cascade of star motes. Aethoria broke the silence. He delivered the sovereign's will, and showed mercy. Evelyne placed a frost petal on the crater's rim. His legacy will endure in every dawn. As the crater mists cleared, the party gazed upward, hearts alight with renewed purpose. The trials ahead would test them further, but the heavens had been saved, for now. Chapter 21, The Archangel's Revelation. At dawn's first light, a silver messenger dove descended through the citadel's rafters, bearing a scroll sealed with the winged crest of heaven. Aethoria broke the seal, the parchment unfurled in her hands like a living ribbon of light. To the bearers of new dawn, hear this truth from on high. A daughter is born to the mother of dragons. She alone shall find the lost dragon egg womb buried beneath the shrouded peaks. From the southern marches, rebels rise, bearing the blood banner of Exodus. They march to reclaim the broken continent. Seek out the veiled covenant, ancient assassins bound by blood oath to the dragon line. Their blades guard the final path. The conjunction of heaven and earth depends upon her coming. Seraphil, exiled of the seventh choir. A stunned silence fell. Evelyne's frost breath crystallized in the air. Aldric's grip tightened on his spear. The mother of dragons, her daughter? Sabrine's eyes lit with fierce resolve. Then we must ride south, find this child, protect her destiny. Aethoria tucked the scroll into her robe. And locate the veiled covenant. They alone know the womb's secret. The cartographer's tattoos glowed, his map skin shifted, revealing a hidden route through the shrouded peaks to the southern marches. Then our path is set. Chapter 22, The Southern Marches and the Blood Banner. Their caravan wound southward across rolling savannas and volcanic plateaus. At the edge of the southern marches, a field of crimson poppies stretched to the horizon, blooms that absorbed sunlight to glow like embers at dusk. A rebel host camped beneath the stone arches of the Hall of Exodus, their banners a blood-red sunburst on black. Commander Lyriel, once a noblewoman of the northern holds, greeted them with wary eyes. Her armor was patched with dragon-scale fragments, a scar ran across her cheek like a lightning strike. You heed the Archangel's call, Lyriel said, voice echoing in the poppy-lit dusk. But the daughter of dragons is but a babe. To find her womb, you must prove your worth. She raised a gauntlet forged of obsidian and bronze. Join our ranks, share our blood oath, then follow me into the march's heart. Aldric grasped her gauntlet as Evelyne, Brakrýs, and Aethoria stood behind. We swear our sword, our frost, our faith to your cause. The rebel host cheered, poppy petals drifting like war ravens overhead. Chapter 23, The Veiled Covenant's Ascent. Lyriel led them through the Marrow Cliffs, basalt spires pierced by winds. At twilight's apex, they reached a hidden staircase of carved bone, each step inscribed with an assassin's name. Evelyne's frostlight revealed the glyphs, the Veiled Covenant, an order of dragonkin assassins sworn to protect the dragon bloodline. At the summit, they found High Shadow, the Covenant's matriarch, a silver-haired woman whose eyes were two coals of ancient fire. Her robes were a mesh of spectral veils, her daggers hummed with draconic resonance. "You seek the dragon egg womb," she intoned. "But first, you must endure the trial of shadows, a test of loyalty, sacrifice, and truth." Through a mist chasm, the party faced illusions of their darkest fears: Aldric's vision of Sabrine lost to the void, Evelyne's memory of the forest's vengeance, Brakrýs's guilt for past betrayals, Aethoria's dread of forgotten names. Only when each confessed their secret longing did the mist clear, revealing ancient doors carved with dragon rune. High Shadow bowed. "You are bound. Follow me, into the cavern of embryonic flames." Chapter 24, Cavern of Embryonic Flames. Beneath the cliffs, a cavern breathed with molten heartbeats. Walls of black glass pulsed with ember veins, stalactites dripped fiery tears. In the center lay a stone basin filled with lava water, within, a cluster of dragon egg wombs, obsidian orbs veined with living ember. Aethoria studied the eggs. The birthing matrix, they await the daughter's bond to hatch. High Shadow knelt and produced a silver shard cradle. "Place her here, and the flames will awaken her line." Before they could proceed, tremors shook the cavern. Rebel scouts cried warnings. The Crimson Horde, Lyonar's fanatics, stormed the cave's entrance, axes and torches ablaze, eager to seize the eggs for war trophy. A fierce battle erupted. Aldric's spear danced in ember light, Evelyne's frost spirit froze the horde's advance, Brakrýs's runes bound their weapons, High Shadow's daggers struck true. As the last fanatic fell, a lull filled the cavern. A hush broken only by the egg's soft pulses. Aethoria placed a tiny hand upon the basin's rim, the core light flared, as if answering an unseen call. Chapter 25, The Dawn of Dragon's Heir. At ready light, the caravan emerged outside the cavern, bearing the daughter of dragons swaddled in scales of silver silk. Her cry was thunderous, an infant's roar that quaked the air. Lyriel knelt to receive her. "Child of prophecy," she whispered, "you will bind the fractured continent in your name." High Shadow laid a dragonbone crown upon the babe's brow, a token of the Covenant's faith. Aethoria cradled the child. The womb has awakened. The rebellion's ember burns anew. The rebel host bowed, banners fluttering beneath dawn's rose-gold sky. Aldric raised his sword, "To the daughter, to the dragons, to freedom, let the new age dawn." The rebels cheered, frost and ember dust swirled in celebration. As the sun rose, its first rays ignited the poppy fields and the span of the shrouded peaks, heralding the daughter's destiny. The stage was set for the war of dragon heirs, and the daughter of dragons would lead the charge. Chapter 26, Shores of the Golden Archipelago. After the birth of the dragon's heir, the party journeyed southward to the Golden Archipelago, a chain of tropical isles bathed in perpetual sunset. Palms bowed over silver sands, crystalline lagoons mirrored coral reefs alive with rainbow fish. Here, the acrid scent of war gave way to salt-sweet breezes. Aldric stretched on a driftwood bench, sun-warmed steel laid aside. Evelyne wove frost tendrils into her hair, marveling at the warmth. Kaelin's ink tattoos glowed softly, each rune a reminder of battles fought. Brakrýs collected lavender smoke blossoms, bottling their scent for the citadel's apothecary. Aethoria dipped toes into jade water, reciting lines of mourning now softened into hope. Around them, islanders, children of those who fled the shattering, danced in firelight under hibiscus garlands. Their laughter was a balm. Evelyne sighed, "I never thought I'd see peace again." Aldric nodded, "Yet even here, shadows linger in every heart." That evening, beneath lantern-lit palm groves, they shared tales, Evelyne's childhood in frost, Kaelin's lost memories, Aethoria's resurrection from the crystal womb. Their stories wove into a tapestry of survival, proof that peace, once grasped, must be guarded with memory and compassion. Chapter 27, Market of Sunblown Dreams. On the Isle of Solara's Bazaar, a market city perched on golden cliffs, the heroes wandered among spice sellers and glassblowers. Stalls overflowed with starfruit and fire lilies, merchants sold amber-hued wines that left warmth in the chest. Aethoria savored each sip, closing her eyes. This is serenity. Brakrýs bartered for rune-engraved pottery. Evelyne negotiated for cooling powders made from crushed moonshells. Aldric watched hawkers juggle glowing orbs, remnants of Luma's star tech, smiling as children chased the light. Yet as dusk fell, they gathered in a courtyard to see the sun-blown tides, where waves glowed gold. A hush fell, even the market's clamor paused. Kaelin sketched the scene, tears glinting in his eyes. After all we've lost. I never imagined beauty again. Evelyne placed a hand on his shoulder. Then promise me we'll protect it. He nodded, resolve steeled. Chapter 28, Festival of Tangled Lights. The Festival of Tangled Lights spanned 3 nights on Lunaria Isle, where glass-spun lanterns drifted on warm seas. Each lantern bore a rune: peace, unity, renewal. Citizens and heroes released them in unison, flaming orbs lifting toward the velvet sky. Aldric and Sabrine released a twin lantern, watching them rise side by side. Our bond must endure beyond war, she said. He squeezed her hand. Evelyne wrote her rune on a lantern, mercy, and whispered to the sea. Brakrýs guided his lantern, memory, into the shoal's currents. Aethoria's lantern, hope, danced on ripples of starlight. Kaelin, his fingers steady for the first time in years, lit forgiveness, lifting it high. As the lanterns ascended, fireworks of colored smoke burst overhead, gilded showers drifting down like blessings. In that radiant glow, the heroes felt their hearts lighten. Yet Evelyne's gaze lingered on the horizon, even beauty must be defended. Darkness waits beyond any dawn. Chapter 29, Council of 5 Shores. Rested by sun and song, the heroes convened on Azure Bluff, atop a cliff overlooking sapphire waters, for the Council of 5 Shores. Representatives from the Golden Archipelago, Sunblown Shores, Lunaria Isle, the Southern Marches, and the Citadel gathered. Aldric spoke first. Our world fractures still, rebels beyond our borders, the endless rift stirring beneath elsewhere. Evelyne added, we must unify our peoples, share resources, guard knowledge. Kaelin unfurled a map scroll. Trade winds link our isles. If we forge alliances, we can rebuild shattered economies. Brakrýs offered his covenant's blades in service to inter-island peace. Aethoria concluded, let this council craft the Treaty of Tides, binding our shores in mutual defense and cultural exchange. Representative voices rose in debate, languages tangled, but hearts aligned. By dawn's first light, ink-sealed parchments crowned their accord. Unity through diversity, peace through shared vigilance. Chapter 30, Farewell to the Warm Winds. As the council disbanded, the heroes prepared to return north. Evelyne stood at Azure Bluff's edge, sandals buried in sun-kissed sand. I will miss the heat, she murmured. Aldric looped an arm around her waist. We carry this warmth within us now. Kaelin collected a handful of golden sand, a grain of every isle, to scatter in the Citadel's gardens. Brakrýs fashioned a necklace of fire lilies for Aethoria. Under a sky of dawn rose, they shared a last banquet of grilled starfish, sweet vine juice, and laughter unmarred by fear. As their ship's hull cut through calm seas, they looked back at the archipelago's glittering shores, each lantern lit beach a promise. The wind carried their song, from sun to snow, from ash to dawn, we stand united, hope reborn. Their hearts were heavy with longing, yet uplifted by purpose, to bring the warmth of unity to lands still cold with war. Ahead lay darker seas and looming trials. But they sailed on, bearing light into the gathering storm. Chapter 31, Return through the Vale of Mists. The ship emerged from sunlit seas into the Vale of Mists, a corridor of swirling fog that guarded the northern coast. Silver gulls wheeled overhead, their calls echoing through the haze. Aldric stood at the prow, sword sheathed, gaze unwavering as mist-veined rocks loomed from the gray. Below deck, Evelyne tended the dragon's air, her gentle voice reciting lullabies of frost and ember. Aethoria charted their course on a map of living ink, each line glowing as they passed hidden shoals. Brakrýs and Kaelin prepared runes of warding, for old threats sometimes slipped through the mists unchanged. As daylight waned, the Vale revealed a hidden inlet, its water still, its banks overhung by willows whose leaves glimmered like dew-forged silver. On the shore stood a solitary monolith of echoed pasts, etched with faces of ancestors. The party disembarked, touching the stone in solemn tribute. A reminder that they carried all who came before their cause. Chapter 32, The Fjord of Fallen Flags. Beyond the inlet lay the Fjord of Fallen Flags, a narrow channel dotted with sunken banners and broken masts. Each wreck bore the sigil of a once proud house, wolves, griffins, dragons, now faded beneath seaweed and rust. Evelyne's frostlight revealed carved runes upon a submerged skull keel, a warning of abyssal echoes below. Aldric led the way in a small longboat, shield raised against waves. A sudden roar echoed from the depths, leviathan bones, colossal rib arches, rose to form a skeletal bridge. As they passed, the bones vibrated with the memories of ships lost to pride and betrayal. Kaelin closed his eyes, committing each rune-etched being to memory. If ever they needed to navigate these waters again, he could guide them by song alone. When they reached the fjord's end, a lone flagpole stood on a rocky promontory, bearing a tattered banner of spiral runes. The standard of the Order of the Last Siren, a forgotten conclave dedicated to preserving hope through song. Aldric bowed his head. "Their legacy lives," he murmured. Evelyne nodded, a reminder that even fallen realms can give us light. Chapter 33, The Citadel's Northern Spire. The caravan crested the final ridge to behold the northern spire, an ivory tower of drifted snow, its capstone ablaze with eternal flame. Smoke lotus vines clung to its base, blossoms aglow against frost-pearl walls. This was the citadel's sentinel, once dormant, now reawakened. Sabrine, now clad in frost-woven plate, rang the herald's bell, 3 tolls that echoed across frozen pines. From each quadrant, sentries emerged, shield maidens armed with glacial spears, oath-bound to protect the dragon's heir. Aldric greeted them with a respectful nod. Evelyne dropped frost petals at their feet, symbolizing peace between old and new guards. Within the spire, tapestries of linen and ice depicted the citadel's rebirth, from shattered ash to roaring flame. Aethoria ascended the spiral staircase, placing the daughter's cradle beneath the eternal fire. "May she grow under watchful flame," she intoned. The assembled heroes felt the weight of destiny settle upon their shoulders once more. Chapter 34, Council in the Frostlight Hall. In the Frostlight Hall, crystal chandeliers dripped with icicle prisms. The Council of Isles reconvened with northern clans added, the Frost Brother clans, Bearkin hunters, and the Snowscribe scholars of the Veiled Library. They brought gifts, frozen fish cured in star salt, scrolls of ancient lore, and a pledge of Hearthstead. Aldric opened the council. "The dragon's heir holds the promise of unity. Yet threats stir beyond our sight, shadows of the endless rift and the long-dead gods returning worshippers." Murmurs rippled through the hall. Frostax warlords, scholars of Runecry, and Seanorn mariners each spoke their vow. Evelyne rose to propose a treaty of frost and flame, a binding of northern resilience with southern warmth, of ephemeral peace with steadfast defense. She pressed her frost-runed gauntlet to the treaty's seal, "In unity we endure." The hall broke into rousing cheer, icicle prisms shattering into dazzling light. Their coalition was complete, North, South, Isle, and Archipelago united under one cause. Chapter 35, Night of 8 Fires. On the final night of Ep.5, the Citadel celebrated the Night of 8 Fires, 8 braziers encircling the courtyard, each fed by a different flame: starfire, frostember, moonglow, dragon breath, hearthsong, void spark, life gleam, and hopelight. Under the Aurora Vale, the 8 fires danced in harmony. Aldric and Sabrine performed the vow of 2 flames, their swords crossed as sparks united. Evelyne sketched each ember's glow into new runes, sealing their promise. Aethoria led the Song of Renewal, a melody weaving memories of loss into chords of triumph. Kaelin captured the moment in ink-tattooed parchment, preserving the night's light for future ages. Brakrýs released bound dreamdrakes, ethereal beasts of smoke and flame that soared overhead, marking the dawn of a new era. As the fires waned, the crowd fell silent. Evelyne whispered, "We have kindled hope across continents." Aldric gripped her hand. "And now we stand ready for whatever the dawn may bring." Chapter 36, The Frost Blossom Vale. At dawn, the heroes journeyed east into the Frost Blossom Vale, where ice crystals grew like flowers upon ancient pines. Each blossom rang like a tiny bell in the brisk breeze, filling the air with a melody of winter's heartbeat. Aldric paused to pluck a single crystal bloom, holding it between gauntlet fingertips. "They sing of renewal," he murmured. Evelyne traced its rune-etched petals with frost tendrils. "And of sacrifice," she added, recalling how many had fallen to secure the citadel's peace. Their path led them to a hidden glade where the ground was carpeted in frost blossoms. Here lay the monument of vanished names, a collapsed obelisk hewn from black ice, inscribed with the lost heroes of the endless rift wars. Sabrine knelt, brushing snow from a name, Sereth of the Silver Shore, her own ancestor. Tears glistened in her eyes. Brakrýs laid a hand on her shoulder. "They live on within us." As the Vale's chime bells tolled noon, the party renewed their vows beneath the frost blossoms, readying their hearts for the final trials yet to come. Chapter 37, The Emberfall Gorge. From the Vale they descended into the Emberfall Gorge, a canyon where molten streams ran beneath cracked basalt, glowing like veins of molten gold. Heat and frost collided in a hiss of steam that cloaked the narrow path. Aethoria led, her mourning robe shielding her from the scalding mist. Evelyne cooled the jagged basalt walls with frozen breath, carving safe footholds. Aldric watched the glowing currents below, remnants of Luma's startack leaking into the world. "We must seal these vents," he said. Brakrýs set protective runes in the rock, Kaelin scattered star shards to bind the flows. At the gorge's heart stood a bridge of living ember, a lattice of molten metal that trembled underfoot. Crossing it, they felt the world hum with ancient power. On the far side, a towering Emberfall arch framed a sky-stained copper. There they paused, each grasping the other's hand, a final promise before the darkness ahead. Chapter 38, The Cathedral of Shattered Skies. Their path led to the Cathedral of Shattered Skies, a ruin of fractured stained glass, its vaulted ceilings collapsed into crystalline shards. Light filtered through rainbow cracks, painting the floor in living prisms. Within its nave, spectral echoes of former worshippers drifted like dust, voices murmuring prayers lost to time. Evelyne gathered her courage to speak the old liturgy of unity. The echoes joined, weaving into a harmonious chorus that banished the restless shades. Aldric found at the altar a carved relief of the Mother of Dragons, her child cradled in stone. Sabrine traced the relief's lines, her legacy endures, even here. Brakrýs discovered a hidden alcove beneath the altar, a spiral staircase leading down into darkness. "The path to the next trial," he said, torch aflame. They descended, the prisms of the shattered glass cathedral flickering above them like dying stars. Chapter 39, Descent into the Dreaming Depths. The spiral staircase led to the dreaming depths, caverns where geology and memory intertwined. Walls pulsed with living opal veins, each glow a dream imprint of a long-forgotten soul. Footsteps stirred the air into soft echoes of laughter, sorrow, and defiance. Aethoria pressed her hand to the wall, visions bloomed, the scourge of ashes, the fall of the Phoenix Riders, the birth of the dragon's heir. The others watched awed and disquieted as each memory flickered across the opal. At the depth's core, they discovered the Well of Waking, its waters shimmering with liquid moonlight. Brakrýs knelt to drink, eyes glazing with visions of futures both bright and terrible. Evelyne followed, tasting hope and fear entwined. Aldric watched over them as Sabrine inscribed runes of protection around the well's rim. "May our dreams guide us as much as our steel." Chapter 40, Prelude to Elsewhere. Climbing from the dreaming depths, they emerged onto a plateau where the sky quivered like a too-tight canvas. In its center hovered the fractured star, a shattered orb of light half-mended by drifting runes. Its glow cast prismatic shadows upon the heroes' faces. Aldric stepped forward, drawing his blade. With each vow uttered, for peace, for unity, for the dragon's heir, a rune snapped into place on the orb's surface. When the final vow rang out, the fractured star's glow surged, rending a vertical portal of starlight in midair. Through the prismatic veil they glimpsed a world beyond comprehension, cities floating on tides of aurora, forests of crystal trees, and skies shot through with cosmic fissures. Shapes moved within, ancient gods, mechanized sentinels, and rebels riding spectral steeds. Sabrine gasped. Evelyne's breath froze upon her lips. Aethoria's tears caught the starlight. Aldric turned to his companions, voice soft yet resolute. Our next trial awaits, beyond this threshold. Episode 6 begins on the other side.